Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of Nike's cheapest hoop shoe and also the budget version of Giannis Antetokounmpo's shoe line, right? This is his budget shoe and this is the Giannis Immortality 4 and it retails for $85, which is freaking cheap, and you can definitely tell that it is a cheaper shoe from the tech, right? If you guys do want to call, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. If you do choose to get this shoe, it does help me out if you buy it from the affiliate link in the description box, or it'll be a picture underneath this video, or I'll try to leave a link right over here. And yeah, the first Immortality was super duper nice. The 2 was a little bit of a disappointment because the mesh material was not supportive at all. Same thing with the 3, so we'll have to see if the 4 is a great option, especially for the price. But yeah, I mean, the Immortalities always go on sale for like 50 bucks, 50, 60 bucks, which is kind of insane. And there's some really dope colorways of the Immortality 4 out. So yeah. Anyways, let's get it started off with the Tracciones, and the traction is identical to the Immortality 3. Whoa, yay. And Nike does this literally with all of their budget shoes, right? So they recycle the outsole and midsole and pretty much put it in literally 2 budget shoes, 2 budget years, I guess, right? So yeah, we have the Nike swoosh here, right? And we basically just have lines, kind of like serrated lines as well, a little bit on some parts of the outsole, and a part in the middle of the outsole with nothing. So why is that ever a design? You know what I mean? With this type of design, you know, it can be bad for durability, right? If you're doing crazy lateral movements, it can come up with the rubber and peel off. And also, wouldn't you want more contact with the ground for better traction? So that just never makes sense to me. But either way, it's not that bad, right? So how is the traction in this shoe? It's actually pretty solid, right? So when you first get it, it's not going to be that great. You know, it's sliding around a little bit. It just doesn't have a great bite. But once you break it in, it actually gets better and better. And now that it's fully broken in, it actually has a pretty solid bite, right? So I definitely wouldn't say it's the best, and I wouldn't say it's top tier traction, but it's pretty dang solid, and I had zero issues with it on a clean court. And also on dust. Dust isn't a huge problem. It's a little bit of a problem, right? It does pick up a little bit of dust, but the one thing that I liked about the dust performance of this shoe is that even though dust was like kind of stuck on the shoe, it would slide a little bit, you know, and obviously the bite wouldn't be that good, but it was never dangerous. It was never me sliding out and feeling kind of insecure about like doing a hard stop. So that was really nice. It just wouldn't be as hard of a stop, which is good, you know. So for dust performance, it was pretty good. And then for durability, however, I don't know, guys. Like, especially like if you see the serrated parts, right, where it's kind of like separated for the lines, you have little nubs there, and also the grooves are pretty thin. The grooves are deep, but the rubber is also on the softer side of things. So I don't think it'll be the best for outdoor use, even though it is a cheaper shoe, right? I feel like this would kind of like rip off. So yeah, the overall traction was pretty dang good. I was very surprised when I played with the Immortality 3s, because at first it was really bad, but it got better and better. And same thing with the Immortality 4, because they are using the same exact rubber outsole. So yeah, there is the traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall it's very smooth, but not super springy, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice curve shape, and also even though the rubber does come up to cage the foam a little bit, it's not clunky at all. All right, this foam is actually kind of soft. Coming here into the forefoot, we have a nice curve shape as well. So just from the shape, you know, from the heel to toe, it is very smooth when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court. But also here in the forefoot and here in the midfoot, we do have, it doesn't seem like there's a midfoot chain plate, first of all, but it's a very smooth feeling shoe and not super springy. So yeah, it's just a smooth feeling shoe, especially for heel to toe transition. And now moving on to the cushioning setup, we got Nike Renew. So it literally says Renew in the back of the shoe, in the heel right there on the foam. And it's okay, you know what I mean? I definitely prefer it over Phylon. And you guys remember Phylon from older shoes, like the Kyrie, you know, 1, Kyrie 2, 3, and then the PG 1, you know. It's actually a little bit softer, right? There's a little bit of compression here in the heel as well. The overall court feel is pretty dang good though. You have good court feel. But also, I would say impact protection is pretty good. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not the best, but my feet really didn't hurt that much. And on harder impacts, obviously, it's not going to be good either. But it wasn't that bad. You know, it would just hurt my foot a little bit. So that's pretty nice for an $85 shoe. But again, there are lots of better shoes with way better cushioning setups, but they are a little bit more expensive, like 100, 110, 120 bucks. 85 bucks for this is not that bad, right? And obviously it would have been really nice if they would have added like a zoom unit, a forefoot zoom unit or something. But again, for the $85 price tag, you can't really complain. Step and comfort kind of sucks though, right? So first of all, we have a very not so nice insole. You know, it's just a regular ortholite insole, but underneath that, it's super stiff for the stroke board. So you do feel like your foot is kind of on like something stiff, and then you feel the kind of softness from the renewed foam, especially here in the heel. So yeah, I mean, it's a great cushioning setup, I feel like, for someone who wants something with a great court feel and something more responsive, right? But again, nothing amazing about the cushioning setup. And now moving on to the upper. The upper is definitely a huge upgrade in my opinion from last year's model. So the Immortality 3 had a really thin material which literally felt like wax paper almost. Yeah, it's really thin, which is nice, but it just felt super duper cheap, right? But for the Immortality 4, they added like a textile material. It feels a good amount thicker and also a good amount stiffer, which helps make the overall shoe feel a lot more supportive, right? But then when I first got it, when I was playing in it, right, for the first couple times that I played in it, it was actually pretty dang stiff for the upper, which I didn't like. So that kind of sucks, but you know, now that it's broken in, it's a little bit softer, but it's definitely on the stiffer side of things comparing it to a lot of textiles and mesh materials, right? But if you are leaning towards wanting something or like an upper that feels a little bit more supportive, or I guess the shoe that feels a little bit more supportive because of the upper, this is a better option, right? On the lateral side, of course, we have a reverse swoosh with an embroidered pattern on it, which looks pretty cool. And same thing on the medial side, which is pretty nice, right? And you're getting all that for $85, and you have a nice fused material going around the tip of the toe. So that's gonna be better for durability too, especially if you do toe drag. So yeah, I mean, here in the toe box, it gets a little bit softer, but it's a little bit stiffer and thicker feeling than normal. We also have some more embroidered parts of the upper too. It kind of goes around in this kind of curved line. For the tongue, we have pretty minimal padding, and also we have a pretty kind of like synthetic material for the tongue. We have his logo right there. It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, we have like an average amount of padding. We have a good amount of padding here in the back of the shoe, however, right? And then on the outside, we have like a cloth material with this kind of like crazy curved pattern, but it does fray off a good amount. You know, I guess when I play, I hit my other foot a lot. Maybe I'm clumsy, I don't know, but it does fray a good amount here and also right here, that's pretty normal though. You know, usually all shoes do that, but it frays here for this cloth material in the heel. But honestly, for 85 bucks, I think it's a pretty nice quality material, and also feels really nice on foot, especially for performance. It's just a little bit stiffer and a little bit thicker than I would like personally, but again, it's not that bad. So there's that. Moving on to the fit. So the fit is something that I really didn't like about this shoe, right? So when I first got it, you know, it was a really tight fit, and I thought it would get a little bit looser, especially with this textile, but it's not. You know what I mean? It doesn't really get that much looser. So yeah, when I first got it, it's really snug, especially lengthwise. So I went true to size, and this shoe fits pretty dang short. So yeah, just be careful with the length. Like my toes, it's not that it goes right to the edge of the shoe, it just goes to the edge of the shoe, and I can definitely feel it hitting the tip of the toe, right? Especially my big toe. So I really didn't like that. When I was playing, it wasn't as noticeable, you know what I mean? Maybe from the heat of my foot, I don't know. And when I'm playing, it doesn't feel as bad. But when I was casually walking around, just like working out even, I definitely felt the length, and it really was uncomfortable, right? Also here in the toe box, it's freaking snug too. It's a really snug fit here in the toe box, and width-wise, it is pretty dang narrow. So I would recommend going up half a size for the length. Yeah, I mean, if you have a wide foot or you have like a thick foot, this is a terrible option. If you have a really skinny and thin foot, then you should be fine with this shoe. Just be careful with the length, right? But for me, when I was playing, again, like it wasn't a huge issue, but I definitely did not I like the length too much. So there's that. Moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown was pretty dang good, however, right? So like I said, this overall material is pretty dang supported, even though there is no lateral counter here in the forefoot. The overall material felt supportive enough, and my forefoot wasn't really coming out of the footbed. Then here in the heel, we have the foam coming up, acting as a sidewall a little bit, and an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment, I was good to go. My foot was not coming out of the footbed really at all. And even if you're a heavier dude, I feel like you should be fine, right? Also, there is a nice little outrigger. You can see it does protrude out a little bit here in the forefoot, and you do have a wide, stable base. So lateral stability was good, and I didn't really have any issues with lockdown. Just the overall shoe, when I was playing in it, felt a little stiff, right? And I guess like segueing into the weight of this shoe is pretty dang light, right? So that's indicative of a cheaper shoe, right? So it comes in at 11.6 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 11.65 ounces. So that's around an ounce lighter than average. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So yeah, this shoe is freaking light. The overall upper doesn't feel super minimal, however, because it's a little bit thick and also pretty dang stiff. And that's definitely what I felt, especially when I first got this shoe, is that the upper is just really stiff, you know? So I didn't really like, it's not that I didn't like playing it just felt a lot stiffer than all the other shoes that I was testing, you know what I mean? Like the Shockwave 6, the Zoom Freak 6 even, you know? Which has a lot softer and thinner material than its budget shoe, which is kind of weird. But now that it's broken in, it does get a little bit softer, but I definitely feel like it is a stiffer kind of upper. So yeah, but is it responsive? It's pretty dang responsive. Yeah, it has good core feel. The overall cushion also isn't super duper soft or mushy. And the traction overall is pretty good. So I definitely felt like on the quicker side of things, but I didn't feel super quick when I was playing it, you know? Like, for example, in the Shockwave 6 and also the Zoom Freak 6, or the Giannis Freak 6, I felt a lot faster in those shoes because of the better traction. Also, kind of like softer uppers. So there is the Immortality 4. Moving on to the ventilation, not that good, you know what I mean? Like this material, there's not a whole lot of airflow through this textile, maybe a little bit, but also here for the mesh material, we have a little bit of airflow. So it's not terrible, but it's not great. I would say it's around average for ventilation. And now moving on to the aesthetics, I really like it. I definitely feel like the design of the shoe looks great. This colorway looks great, but also I don't know. I usually don't like reverse swooshes, but I think it looks pretty good. And I really like the heel part too. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up. So yeah, there are better shoes out there. You know, way better cushioning setups, better traction. I think, in my personal opinion, better materials too, or just better feeling materials especially in the toe box. But it is an $85 shoe, right? And for $85, this is really, really nice. You know what I mean? I would suggest it more towards guards. But again, there are better options out there, you know what I mean? But you're gonna have to spend a little bit more money. But obviously, if you're trying to save money, you're trying to get a pretty good hoop shoe for a really good and cheap price, then this is a really good option for 85 bucks. And usually, like I said, the Immortality line goes on sale a lot to like even 50 to 60 bucks. So when it does get to that price, then this is definitely a cop. But again, like I said, there are better options out there, you know what I mean? Like the Shockwave 6, the Zoom Freak 6, the DVD 2 SE, the Zap 1. There's a lot better options out there, you know. All those shoes have better cushion, better traction, better and softer materials while still being supportive. But again, for the price, you can't really go wrong. So, but anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Nike Giannis Immortality 4. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave in the free link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.